Deborah had loved Michael since they were teenagers. They grew up in the same neighborhood in Lagos, sharing childhood dreams and secret moments. Michael was not rich, but he had a kind heart and big dreams. He worked as an engineer, trying to build a life for himself and for Deborah. But Deborah's parents did not approve. They believed love alone was not enough. They wanted their daughter to marry into a wealthy family, someone who could give her a luxurious life. One evening, after Michael dropped Deborah home from work, her father called her into the living room. The atmosphere was tense. "Deborah, you need to stop seeing that boy," her father said, his voice firm. "We've found a good man for you. His name is Samuel. He comes from a respected family, and he will take care of you." Deborah's heart sank. "But, Daddy, I love Michael. He is working hard." Her mother cut her off. "Love will not put food on the table, my dear. Samuel can give you a good life." Tears filled Deborah's eyes. She tried to fight, but her parents were unshakable. Slowly, they pressured her into saying yes. Before she knew it, she was engaged to Samuel, a businessman from a wealthy home. Michael was heartbroken when Deborah told him. "Please don't do this," he pleaded. "We can make it work. I love you." Deborah wiped her tears and whispered, "I love you too, Michael. But my parents will never let us be together." The wedding came sooner than Deborah had imagined. She felt numb as she walked down the aisle. Samuel smiled at her, but all she could think about was the man she had left behind. After the wedding, Samuel announced they would be moving to the UK for a better life. Deborah had no choice but to follow. Life in the UK was not what Deborah had imagined. At first, things seemed fine. Samuel provided for her, bought her nice clothes, and took her out to fancy restaurants. But beneath the surface, there was no love. Samuel worked long hours, and Deborah was left alone most of the time. She found a job as a caregiver in a hospital, but the work was exhausting. The UK was different from Nigeria. No house help, no family to lean on. Everything was expensive, and survival meant hard work. Soon, the pressure of life started to affect their marriage. Samuel became frustrated. "You complain too much, Deborah," he snapped one night when she told him she was tired. "You should be grateful for the life I've given you." "But I'm not happy, Samuel," she said softly. His eyes darkened. "Happiness is a choice, Deborah. You chose this life, so deal with it." Deborah felt trapped. Every day felt like a routine of work and loneliness. She missed Nigeria. She missed her friends, her family, and most of all, she missed Michael. After 5 years in the UK, Samuel decided they should return to Nigeria. He was tired of the struggle. "It's better we go back and start a business," he said. Deborah agreed, hoping that maybe things would get better once they were home. But nothing changed. Samuel became even more distant. They barely spoke, and when they did, it was mostly arguments. One evening, Deborah was scrolling through her phone when a familiar name popped up, Michael. Her heart skipped a beat. She hesitated before opening the message. "Deborah, I heard you're back in Nigeria. I hope you're okay." Her fingers trembled as she typed back. "I'm not okay, Michael. Can we meet?" Deborah and Michael met at a quiet cafe. The moment she saw him, all the emotions she had buried for years came rushing back. "You look the same," Michael said, his voice filled with warmth. "You look better," Deborah replied, smiling for the first time in a long while. They talked for hours. She told him about her unhappy marriage, about how she felt like a stranger in her own life. Michael reached across the table and held her hand. "I never stopped loving you, Deborah." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Neither did I." That night, They shared a kiss that felt like home. It was wrong, but it felt right. And before she knew it, one kiss turned into a night together. Days turned into weeks. They saw each other in secret, stolen moments of happiness that Deborah couldn't resist. She knew it was dangerous, but she couldn't stop. Then one morning she felt sick. At first, she thought it was stress, but when she missed her period, fear gripped her heart. A pregnancy test confirmed her worst fears. She was pregnant, and she knew the baby was Michael's. She sat in the bathroom, staring at the test, her heart pounding. How would she explain this? Samuel would never forgive her. And Michael, would he accept the child? When she told Michael, his face turned pale. Then, slowly, he reached for her hand. "We'll figure this out, Deborah," he said softly. "I won't leave you." But Deborah knew the battle was only beginning. Would she confess to Samuel, or would she keep the secret and live a lie? Tears streamed down her face. Love had brought her here, but love was also about to break her world apart. Love is never simple. It is beautiful, painful, and unpredictable. Deborah had made choices that changed her life forever, and now she had to face the consequences. Would she choose love or loyalty, truth or deception? Some choices had no easy answers. And for Deborah, the hardest part was just beginning.